Hi, everyone, and welcome to Dice Trays Action. I'm Drake, aka the Lion Knight 42, where you can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and here on Twitch. Before we get started with tonight's game, a couple shout outs real quick. One, shout out to Lost Haven Art, who you can find over on Twitter at Lost Haven Art, for our awesome logo and the assets for our overlay. Shout out to Ampersand Productions, which is Ampersand D20 over on Twitter, and to Homebrew Havoc, which is their weekly game. It's an actual play stream that focuses on community collaboration. It combines the wonderful creations of clever creators in one large open world. Every Thursday, make sure you check it out to see how Callum, Shiv, Tony, Ailey, and Game Master Paul survive the world of Untirso. Also, a quick shout out to the Infinite Construct over on YouTube, Instagram, and you can also find them on Twitter at INF Construct. Fantastic stuff coming there. If you haven't yet, check out Exegesis in 2 parts over on their YouTube, and coming later this spring is going to be Eisegesis. Now, with all that done, let's get into the game. Who would like to start off with the recap this week? Go for it.
After meeting up with 2 new friends in my travels, Girna and Kunnskap, we eventually traveled to Southreach. There, got stopped by a guard, went inside, and there were people. After everyone started fleeing and panicking and all the usual fish monster shenanigans, we, along with 2 people that also were among the crowd, Toby and Aksha, decided to deal with fish people. We killed them, and then they had tentacles coming out of them, and we killed them again, and then we got yelled at by a guard.
I got goo all over me. It was gross.
Yeah, after being told by the guard to meet up with him later the next day to give a better explanation of what happened, we talked to one of the people who was being attacked in the crowd. What was her name?
Lina.
Lina. She said that her son has been missing and that there have been multiple attacks, which the guard completely left out when we asked him about. And we went to get food and drinks with her, and we said that we would look into finding her son. Anyone else want to mention anything?
Not that anyone has noticed, but Kunnskap seems rather distracted through all of these escapades, always seemingly having a other itinerary as they moved about this city, and has yet to find what they are looking for.
Yes, a few things that I will add in was Kunnskap going digging in the entrails of these creatures after they were felled. Toby asking everybody about a fish that he has in a jar. Aksha effectively putting himself into the party before any of these things went down, and immediately proving their usefulness through their deft use of fire, be it on the fish monsters or the buildings. And when we left off, the group had effectively agreed to help look into what was going on with the disappearance of Lina's son, and Kunnskap was beginning that search by hunting for rats and mice.
Kunnskap will go under the table and immediately cast Speak with Animals.
Sure. you can now speak with animals.
Indeed, that is what the spell does.
Good. So, as the group of you are given your drinks and food, and Annie includes for free the advice not to order food from here again, and exits, you all notice Kunnskap has vanished, although it is easy
I
enough.
wanted to talk to her.
I also wanted to talk to her.
Oh, okay, that's fine. As she turns to leave, you notice that Kunnskap has vanished, although it's easy enough to figure out where they have vanished to.
One moment, please.
Yeah, what's up?
Well, I have been told that you give information in exchange for coin.
Oh, really? And who told you that? And Lina is just sort of sitting there, kind of sheepishly. Huh. At least I make them pay for it when it comes from me. I have been known to maybe share a few pieces of information here or there. Why? What are you looking for?
Well, the lovely Lina has enlisted our help to help find her son. And I was wondering if you had any new or different information you might offer in exchange for gold. And she pushes the 3 gold pieces she had put down the table earlier towards her.
And she just picks up one and stacks it on the next, and stacks that one, picks them up, and starts sort of dropping them into her palm, then picking them up and dropping them again one by one. And she looks around. Well, here's what I can tell you. He's not the only one to have disappeared. There's been a number of disappearances. I'd say going back over the last 12 to 15 months. Can't say they're all related or any of them are connected in any way, but after something happens a couple of times, you start wondering, you know? Beyond that, I can tell you this. Maybe, perhaps, the best place to start isn't going to be over with the city guards, who, kind of have a duty to make sure things seem like they're peaceful. Maybe the best place to start is somewhere where they're not worried about that.
Such as?
Gotta spell everything out for you, huh?
We are new here.
That's okay. I'm a good speller.
She takes another coin out and
She adds it to her little growing pile. Well, maybe, possibly, perhaps, if you were to make your way over to the wall, someone down there might be able to tell you more. You gotta be careful, though, because where I will ask you for your gold, they will just take it, and it's not fun.
they can certainly try.
Ho ho ho! It's a nice set of armor, but I don't know if it's gonna save you. They might take that too.
And then she stops very abruptly.
Alright, well, the only other place you might be able to find something out, and I don't know if you will or you won't, I can't promise nothing. If you go to, what's this place called? Silent Night. You might be able to get something there. One Quiet Night. That's what it is. Quiet Night. You might be able to get something over there. It's a tavern. You know what? It might work out. If you need somewhere to stay, you can stay there too. It's a tavern and inn over by the yards. Just, don't leave any pie sitting out.
I will not.
Good idea. Klaus loves him some pie.
We shall bear this in mind.
Good, good.
This is a good start. Thank you.
Not a problem. If you need anything else, my establishment, and my purse is always open. You just come see old Annie. People don't come here for the drinks. Enjoy. She says she sort of like motions to them.
Clearly. She's just giving it like holding up the barely red wine.
As
Is
she's doing this,
water?
I'm like finishing my Toby's finishing his glass of ale. He puts
It's-
it back down on the table,
It's
and
awful. It's so bad. It's like swill.
Toby enjoyed it. Toby does not split hairs when it comes to his sources of ale.
Nice.
Toby pulls his other hand out of his bag with a handful of gold pieces and slams it down on the table and says, "Hi, I am Toby. Toby has questions now."
How many gold pieces is it?
10.
She almost like concerned reaches out and puts her hand on them and slides them across the table. All right, Toby, what you got? I got answers.
Are these the first monsters?
Well, they're the first monsters anyone's confirmed. I don't know if that's what you're looking for, but
Have you seen the monsters?
I haven't even seen these monsters.
Toby opens like one of the pieces on his vest, like a small pocket, and pulls out one of the little tentacle fragments.
Oh, you kept it.
Drops it like close to her. Goes,
Splat.
now you have seen part of monster.
Be
Have you
careful,
seen
she's
like
about to
this
get
before?
mad.
If I'm being honest, it looks like what happens if I leave the mush out for too long. Otherwise, no.
So then Toby's gonna go into his bag and pull out his jar with his fish and open it and be like, "Have you seen this fish before?"
And she reaches out to like take the jar from you. Have I seen? Is this a fugi?
Do you have fugi around here?
No.
Where is the closest place you find fugi?
Well, it's not. Do you mean alive or just at all?
At all.
There's a place down by the East Street Market, down near the docks. Might be able to find some. Sometimes it comes in with the ships.
They import?
Sometimes you get people from like the half krung like to bring it in.
Okay. Toby, I'm gonna take the jar back, close it, put it back in my bag. Toby has one more question.
Honey, you could keep me here all night if you want for that, for what you paid.
Toby likes you.
Oh,
You
good.
are helpful to Toby.
I like me too.
You bring good drink.
I don't think anyone's ever said that to me before. Now I like you.
Toby would like to know. Do you know an alchemist?
An alchemist. I mean, there's two alchemists in town. Why? What are you looking for exactly?
Alchemist could help Toby with fish.
With fish. I don't know if they're gonna be able to help you with fish, but it can't hurt to try. I can't promise you'll be able to get to both of them though. One of them's over in Ambergate. I don't know if you've ever been to Ambergate, but they're pretty picky about who they let in.
Toby has had this problem.
Aksha has had this problem.
Oh yeah, you tried going over there too?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, the real jerks over there. It's real stuck up. Got something real far up the ass over there. It's crazy. They're just picky.
Do they not typically let anyone in, like Aksha?
No, you gotta have some real gold to get in there.
Oh.
It's not for people like you and me. They're all hoity-toity fancy walking around on their 400 gold slippers and paving their streets with gold. Not really, but you know, it's what they say. But if you're looking for an alchemist, you could probably go over to West Seat. It's a bit of a walk, but you could probably go over there, check out the Bottle and Gold.
Bottle and gold, you say?
Yeah. They're it's an interesting place. Don't know if they'll be able to help you, but it's what you got access to here. Oh,
Toby thanks you.
not a problem. Not a problem.
This
Any
whole
other-
time, there's chittering coming from under the table.
Yeah, I got you. Give me 1 second. I got you. And is there anything? She like glances under real quick. It's just like Kunnskap talking to rats, right?
Yeah.
What did you say the food was again? As he opens the lid from whatever she put down in front of him.
Oh, I didn't say what it was.
So Toby's gonna turn to Aksha because Aksha's now mentioned twice things that like have happened to Toby, and be like, "Do you have any questions? Small hot one."
So he's gonna like pat Brori. She's gonna pat Brori on the arm and be like, "Good luck," and then she's just gonna like wait. If you open it, I'm sorry. 1 second. I'm so sorry. Just Brori, if you open the thing,
Which he was going to.
it's like a mush, like a brown, almost like a chunky oatmeal looking thing with maybe pieces of potato in it and what looked like some kind of fish.
Is this edible?
I mean, it doesn't look enjoyable. If it's edible, I mean, maybe.
Would
It-
you be able to stomach it?
Are you asking me or her?
Her.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna just down it.
It
No
looks.
fear.
It tastes as good as it looks. All right, Aksha.
Hmm. Could Aksha use persuasion?
Yeah. What
on her?
do you want to try and persuade her?
Specific question, like get an honest answer, sort of, out of using his persuasion.
Yeah. Ask away.
He's gonna bat his little eyelashes and let's see. Normal roll. Let's give it a try. Oh,
Oh,
Here we go.
Hey.
Aksha's just so tell me about these guards. Tell me more about these city guards. Who are they? The
Silver Gauntlet.
Silver Gauntlet, yes.
And she stands there for a moment, thinking, and in the silence, you just hear from under the table more. All right. Well, I'll tell you what. Usually, I wouldn't do this for free, but your friend gave me a lot. And, you're pretty nice, pretty cute. I think we can make this work. What do you want to know? They all kind of walk around pretty hoity-toity, thinking that there's something special. They don't really care about a lot of us down here. At least that's the way it feels. They're too busy dealing with rogue magic to worry about basic guard work. Sometimes you get the low-level ones, the foot soldier guys. They're not so bad, but most of them, it doesn't feel like they give a shit about us. We're not the walls, but we're not that far off.
Okay.
Well, why, are you curious about anyone in particular or about anything they're doing? Or
About this Velder Silver Sun. Yes.
oh man, you want to talk about people with things stuck up their butts? Ooh, there was a time in my life when I was much younger, where I would find my way into trouble, and eventually that trouble ended up getting me this wonderful establishment, but not for the lack of Alder trying to stop me. You know, he he's real tight about stuff like this. Is he? Is he a bad guy? I don't think so. I don't think so. But maybe, I'll put it like this. Alder would he would never let me get away with anything he could catch me on, but he'd never catch me unless he had something to catch me on, if that makes sense. So he just takes himself too seriously.
I see. Thank you.
Lina sort of like nods, and she's like, he does seem the type.
Okay, Aksha, this is good. Thank you.
While they're talking, Girna just kind of slides the wine away from Lina. Like, just don't drink sets. I'll get you better drinks.
Okay. Now we're gonna duck beneath the table for a minute. So, Kunnskap, you dove under the table and you, I assume, start calling out for whatever friendly fellas might be around.
Yes.
After a couple seconds of this, you notice from a hole in the wall, not a couple feet away, a rather rotund rat sort of pokes its head out, and it looks over at you, and it kind of like quirks its head.
Kunnskap will put their hands out towards it. Hello, my friend. Come, speak with me.
And it like pokes its head back into the hole for a moment, and it goes, "Yeah, I'll be back. I'll be back. No, I just gotta take care of something real quick. No, I'll be back. Okay, bye." And then comes running out and like jumps into your hands, and it's like, "Hi."
Hello. Have you eaten today?
You're very big. No.
Kunnskap will take, I think, the third to last berry out of their pocket and hand the berry to the newfound friend.
He like grabs it and pulls it, and he's like, Are you, is this for me? It's huge. What?
Yes, it will only last till the end of the day, but I am sure you will find use of it before then.
Oh, friend, it won't last till the end of the day.
I'm sure not. Tell me, and Kunnskap will put the rat down on the ground before pulling out the runes once more and spreading them across the floor. Do you see these markings upon the bones?
Yeah, I do. There's some big bones.
Yeah. Have you seen these markings anywhere else? Where?
I can show you.
Yes.
And he like, as he scampers away, he takes a moment to sort of like toss the berry, and it rolls across the floor into the hole. And he starts running under other tables.
Kunnskap will skitter across the ground after the rat.
You guys hear kind of like thump as he leads Kunnskap away.
Gina's little mechanical eyebrows, one flips so that she's kind of doing the like as he goes.
And he leads Kunnskap about 5 tables down. There's just a set of 2 sets of boots seated at it, and at the underside of that table is a rune that you recognize.
Is this table occupied?
Yes.
Kunnskap is gonna go right underneath the table.
Sure, yeah.
What does this rune suggest to Kunnskap?
It's like a basic marking of presence that someone has been here. There's no information that it offers. It's sort of like a I have arrived, and it's sort of dated, and it's from about uh from about like three years ago.
Kunnskap will thank the rat and then do you have I'm sorry to take any more of your day, but I do think it's rather important to those around us. Have you seen, or did your family see the creatures that were causing lots of noise outside today?
Oh no, not no. Let me ask. I can come right back. I'll come right back. He like scurries off. And so
Kunnskap is still sitting underneath that table, like nothing's odd about this at all.
yeah, after a couple moments, so you heard the thump, and then after a couple moments, the two gentlemen at the table, a couple tables down, just sort of with the weirdest looks of like curiosity, like not curiosity, that's the wrong term, of just befuddlement on their faces, get up and sort of like walk away, with very very clearly confused and upset. And then you hear from within the walls.
It's probably just like basically overlapping voices to me, right?
Yeah, it's just like they're faint enough that you can't make out exactly what they're saying, but it does just sound. But to everyone else, it's like a rat
Totally a
symphony.
cacophony of subway rats.
Yeah.
There's so
And-
many critters in this place.
And then like less than a foot away from your table, you hear a thump as like a wooden mug hits the wall, and Annie goes, "They're not paying rent. We don't want to hear them." And it gets very quiet, and then one of the rats comes scurrying back out, looks at you, and goes, no, there's nothing they've seen. We don't know. There's no the monsters like you, lots of you guys, but I don't think you're monsters. You always give us food, sometimes not on purpose, maybe on purpose. I don't know.
This was on purpose. I assume that most of the time it is not. But if you see anyone like me, or can speak to you like I do, please send one of your family to find me.
Where can we find you?
You are rats, are you not? You have eyes everywhere.
Except on our butts.
This is true.
Oh. And then he sort of scurries off.
And as soon as the rat scurries off, Kunnskap goes, I hope I am not found on a rat's ass. And, and then like crawls back to their seat and sees that their mug of ale is still there and sees that there's an empty mug in front of Toby and slides their mug towards him.
Toby will definitely take it as soon as he notices and will start drinking it.
What were you doing?
Talking to the real denizens of this place.
Under a table?
It is where they are often found.
I see.
So, where are we headed?
We can either check, what is it? The wall?
I would probably suggest waiting until tomorrow for that. It's It's gonna be dark soon, and that's not the sort of place you want to be after dark.
Fair. I can head towards the guild and see if they've heard anything about the disappearances or the creatures or anything of the sort. There might be an alchemist there if you want to ask around, Toby.
This sounds interesting. I will accompany you. I have
Great.
told this woman that I will help find her son so long as it lines up with what I need to do. I am on my quest, and I believe that our interests align. Toby will go with you.
All right. Unless anyone else has other ideas.
Seems like a wise course of action.
All right. Let's head out then.
Am I to come with you?
Uh,
No,
if
you stay.
If you want, you can
You
stay. You can come.
I have
Sure.
a better idea. Here, you take this, and she takes out 2 gold and puts it in her palm. And you go somewhere that is not here to get a good meal and a drink and possibly a bath and relax.
Thank you.
You just so nice, shiny one.
Simply the right thing to do.
Yes.
And she takes your gold and sort of timidly walks away.
One thing I forgot to do, my DM.
Yes.
Do I notice any markings that would interest me on the kobold?
Nothing that stands out to you. No.
Just very shiny. For a kobold.
Shiny.
So you were leading us to a guild of sorts, you said?
You're welcome to come with.
Do I know anything of this guild?
Well, the compass that Brori produced earlier is one that you may not personally recognize, but do have at least a passing knowledge of, as your people do have at least some semblance of a working relationship with the Gilded Compass. There.
So
Go ahead.
they would recognize me or what I am.
They may not necessarily, but you would definitely recognize them as somebody who you would potentially be able to work with.
Then I shall follow you.
Sounds good. So
It should be exciting. It has been a very long time since I've seen a guild.
all of us are heading there then.
There is no reason to separate.
Brori's gonna get up. Head out.
Sure, yeah. So you guys leave Annie's Ale House, and it's quite a trek to go from there to the financial district. It's going to be quite the walk. It'll take you at least through the neighborhoods adjacent to the Silver Docks, and in doing so, bring you incredibly close to the Dominestica, which is, as previously stated, an impossibly huge, towering building, larger than any that any of you have ever seen before. Easily, without question, except maybe Aksha, if you've ever been here before. I forget if Aksha's ever been directly to Southreach. But if not, then this is, again, just significantly bigger than any building you've ever seen. And from what you know, Aksha, it's definitely larger than what you previously would have thought would be the largest building, which would be the Kabalion in Dine Santvi, the most well-known and most acclaimed of the arcane academies in Lysantis. Girna, for you, it's kind of a shock considering some of the stories you've heard about the Dominion and some of the buildings as they've been described to you there, to see something that, as far as you can tell, is far larger than even those. And Brori is someone from the Dominion proper, at least most recently. The same rings true, where that is a place of marvel and invention where impossible things happen fairly often. And here is something that you could probably fit an entire small town inside of. So your travels will take you past there and the looming, brilliant stained glass windows that depict Balus and Saint Denvella and a number of other important figures throughout the history of Lysantis and the Silvercrest, and then through the lower quarter until eventually, following the paths northwards, you find yourselves in the financial district. This is a relatively popular area. Usually the streets are very full with the hustle and bustle. There's people walking to and from the banks and to and from the guilds for any number of reasons. Ahead of you, you see a very large, very ornate lawn kept pristine, leading into the 5 separate entrances into the guild hall proper. After a little bit of back and forth, checking signage, you realize that you are expected to go through the primary entrance. When you do, you find yourselves in another very large building, nowhere near as large as what we mentioned previously, but large and very busy building, full of people running back and forth, and lines that seem frustratingly long for people waiting to either check in or looking for jobs or anything else. There is, however, at the front, before any of these lines, a desk, and at that desk are a few different individuals, most of whom are standing and talking to the people constantly entering and exiting the guild hall.
I'm gonna go up to the desk.
So you go up to the desk, and at the desk, the first person who appears before, or who engages you, is a relatively young, like lightly tanned skinned dwarf. He looks you over and strokes his long braided beard and goes, "Hello, how can I help you today?"
I just pull out the compass just to show, like, for identification.
Yes. Puts it down on the desk, but doesn't take his hand off.
came back from a request from the guild. Both at the location and in town, a couple of creatures attacked us. Location, corpses with worms and such inside of them. Here, fish people with worms and such inside them.
As you said that, there are people around you who are just like stunned and taken aback. He hands you back the compass and he goes, "All right, head in. Don't be so loud about stuff like that. Yeah, the last thing we need is a panic.
Fair enough.
Go. Someone will meet with you.
Where
Are
do you say
they
to go
all
to?
with you? What?
Where do you say to go to?
He points down the hallway. Are they all with you?
Yeah, they're all dealing with this issue also, as well.
And then he like leans, so he's looking past Brori at the rest of you, and he goes, "Welcome, established friends of the guild. It is so fantastic to have you here. Please enjoy all of the wonderful things that we have to offer and consider that possibly joining our illustrious members." All right, get out of here.
Right.
As soon
Max.
Heading down the hallway.
as,
Excuse
soon as
me.
that individual. No, go ahead.
You both get just like, oh,
How big are the guilds now?
what?
How far do the guilds expand?
The whole continent.
Yeah, I mean we're everywhere and beyond. Hang on. He very exasperatedly peeks under the desk and comes out after a moment with a scroll. And he puts the scroll down and he unfurls it, and it's essentially a pamphlet about the guilds, the Doorwind guilds. And then he hands it to you. There you go.
She takes it.
Happy reading.
Thank you.
Yep. And then he looks over. Kunnskap also approached, right?
Yes.
He looks over and he's
Immediately, Kunnskap Sokar is going to start speaking Garuni at this individual.
What?
As soon as there is a what, the voice gets louder.
No, I'm not deaf. I don't know what you're saying. I don't speak. I don't even know what you're speaking.
There's a pause, and then Kunnskap looks around, suddenly completely disregarding this individual. Is there other people that Kunnskap sees that are like, is this individual in a uniform of any sort?
No, he doesn't seem to be.
Okay. Just starts shouting in Garuni.
Sweet Balas. And he like looks back and starts waving his arm and he's like, "Need some help over here. We got I don't know, scary guy going crazy." And after like a moment, you see these four very large assorted fighters in like heavy armors sort of coming almost out of the woodwork at you. And one of them steps forward. It's this very, very large, very tall human, and she just sort of like squares her gaze at you and goes, "What seems to be the problem here?"
Continues speaking in Garuni at them. Not like crazy, like not flailing their arms about, just speaking.
Like, you're gonna have to do something else. Clearly, it's not getting through.
Kunnskap will just stare at them, lets out a sigh, and goes back to the group like nothing happened.
Uh, was there a reason you could not simply speak in common?
Yes.
Which is
The reasons that have been insinuated.
Has he insinuated something before? Because I missed it. Oh,
all right. Gonna wave to the dwarf at the desk and head down the hallway.
The dwarf does not respond. He's already like moved on to the next person.
Fair enough.
You get to the hallway and there's another guard sort of stationed there. But you flash your compass and they step to the side and it's easy enough for you to go through. It takes you down a hallway that eventually opens up into a large room where there is a elven woman waiting. And as she sees the group of you, she goes, "Hello, can I help you?"
Yeah, call it the compass. I was recently sent to look into a guild issue around here. Some creatures attacked corpses with worms coming out of them, and when we came back to Southreach, there were giant fish people with the same worms coming out of them. Does the guild have any information on this?
Well, if you want, she motions to a door. Go take a seat in there, and someone will be with you shortly, and you can go over it with them.
Great.
I will ask for your patience. It will be a little while because we are pretty backed up. We've been very busy lately.
Fair enough.
In the meantime, feel free to enjoy the accommodations. There should be some food in there as well, which you are welcome to, and drinks all on the house.
Thank you.
Thank you.
He's gonna go sit at the chair.
Kunnskap in Garuni will say, "Thank you."
And to you as well.
There's a shake of the head, and this.
Toby is going to look at everybody and just look around and do it. She seems helpful.
Most people are when you speak the language.
the guilds are so prosperous.
Yeah.
Tell me, Brori,
Yeah.
have you ever needed to use the beacon on your compass?
Has Brori? Okay.
Never
The what
even heard
now?
of it.
The what now?
The beacon. Come, I show you.
What do you mean?
So she's gonna take the compass, and I assume she knows how to activate the beacon, and she's gonna give it a twist and a couple of bops, and it does not.
It does nothing.
Something is wrong with your compass. This is supposed to glow.
Well, I was not told of that, so possibly has changed over the years.
For the worse, clearly. Ugh, does not do.
So the room that you guys find yourselves inside of is incredibly lavish. There's a couple of benches with these very plush cushions and a few stools, also sort of adorned with the same kind of soft cushions atop them. There's a tray with nuts and figs, berries, grapes, assorted fruits, as well as some dried meats. And there is a sort of what looks like a miniature keg with a couple of tankards placed beside it.
Kunnskap finds a corner and sits down in it and just stares up at the ceiling.
Toby is going to look for what looks to be the most comfortable cushioned seat that he can find, and just kind of walk over to it, takes his pole and just kind of leans it up against the wall to just be there, and then just plops like with a bit of a sploot down and just like kicks his feet up and is like, ah, finally, a good seat.
Aksha goes over and plops down next to him, just kind of instead of a flump. He's like, yes, my feet hurt too. Much walking. So much walking. Ugh. Terrible.
Brori's gonna walk up to them. So Toby, you said you're looking for an alchemist.
Yes, Toby is looking for an alchemist. Is there an alchemist here?
I'm gonna ask that in a second. Aksha, you were
Yes.
looking for what again?
My mentor's friend. He is supposed to be here. His name is Bryn Talwyn. But I was told he's not. He
How do you
is
spell
off
that
doing
out,
something
Bryn?
else. Bryn, I think it's Brin.
Brynn.
Bryn. Okay.
Bryn Talwyn.
Yes.
Okay.
And if
Anything else you could tell me about him?
I don't know much about him. He's my mentor. He was my mentor's friend. My mentor would go see him. I would not go. So I've never met. I just heard of him, and he spoke of him often. But
Do
I've
you
never
know what
seen.
he did for a living, or any details?
They worked together. My mentor had worked at the school. He was a teacher.
He was a teacher.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
and
I'll be
also
back.
ask them if there are any Kunnskap Soker here, or anyone who speaks Garuni.
Garuni. All right. I'll be back. I'm gonna walk back over to the elf.
Sure. So yeah, you exit the room, and she's talking with someone else who she directs to
Okay.
another room, and then she looks back over at you. Hi, is everything all right?
Yeah. I ran into a few people who I'm looking to help out. Was wondering if you know a few people that could help out with what they need.
It's possible. It depends on what it is that they need.
Well, one of them is looking for an alchemist. Are there any currently here at the moment?
I will have to look into that. I'll put the request out. There might be. If so, you will probably have to wait 2 or 3 days before they will be available.
That should be fine. Second, do you know of any teachers at the academy in the city? Bryn Talwyn?
I believe Mr. Talwyn has retired, but it is likely that he will still be available if needed for anything important, though I don't know if he's currently around, and unfortunately it is not particularly within my job description to be able to contact him. You would have to take that up either with his private staff or through the officials in the civic district to try and get out and communicate to him.
All right. And do we have any people from the guild who can speak what was the language?
Garuni.
Garuni?
I believe so. I will have to check, but I will add that to the request, and hopefully the person who comes to assist you with what you are asking for assistance with will be able to provide that as well.
Here's the hoping. Thank you again.
Not a problem.
I'm gonna head back to the roof. Okay. They're gonna look into any alchemists. They said it might be 2 or 3 days to see who they can get a hold of. If you're gonna stay here for that time, then yeah,
Okay, Toby will wait. Thank you.
awesome. They're gonna also look for someone who can speak to you. Uh, again, they have to ask around to see if anyone speaks the language, and if they do, hopefully they can.
Oh, by the time our friend Brori comes back, Kunnskap is asleep.
Oh, I'll let him sleep then. As for Bryn, they said they believe he's retired.
Oh, retired. What does this mean?
Uh, done working. They've worked for long enough that they don't need to work anymore.
Oh, like my mentor. Okay, yes, I understand.
We can ask around in the civic district to
Civic
see if we can get
district.
word out to him, or we can ask his personal staff if we can get in contact with them.
Why not
Is the-
compose a letter?
A letter. Oh, yes, maybe this will work.
We can head to the civic district after we talk about the incidents with the guild.
At which point you hear a knock on the door.
Gonna open the door, I guess.
Sure. You open the door, and standing before you is a about 3 foot tall, fairly thin gnome. He looks up at you from behind very thick spectacles and thinning blonde wavy hair that sort of falls a little bit in his face, and he scratches at a sort of pointed blonde beard. He goes, "Hello."
Hello there. We're here to talk about the recent incident at Eastgate.
I can't say I've heard about it yet, but give me a moment to settle in and we can discuss this. And he comes in and he pulls the door closed behind him. He walks up to the keg, pulls a step stool out from underneath it, pours himself a nice big mug, and then plops himself down on one of the stools. And he goes, "Hello, I'm Enil, and Enil.
No.
And I will be assisting you today. I am a card carrying, as they would say, member of the Gilded Compass, and hopefully will be able to help with whatever the problems that you are experiencing. I understand
I'm gonna pull
you.
out the
He
compass.
stops and he points at Brori and he goes, "You're the one, right? Yeah. Okay. Great. You're all here with him, right? None of you are."
Yeah.
I have a nose for this. It's not good for many other things, but this it can do. He takes a big swig from his mug. So,
Can I ask,
yeah, you can always ask.
do you know when the compass designs were updated?
Updated?
Yes.
She
This is
said
not the original
the-
design.
She
Oh, this
said
is
had
definitely the original design.
No, this cannot be.
Well, let me tell you, I don't know how old you are under there or how long you've been around, but trust me, I've been a part of this guild for a long time, and not once have I ever seen those compasses be updated or changed in any way. I can tell you that much. Why do you ask?
She said that mine is supposed to have a beacon in it.
Yes, that is how Lilith designed it. Many, many years ago now.
And how would you know that?
Because I am equally old. And Lilith was my companion.
Mm. It's a long time to be traveling around.
Yes.
All right,
So?
show me what it is you're talking about. Okay.
I'll hand her the compass to let her finagle with it as she did before.
So she fiddles with it. And if you do this, it is meant to light up as a beacon so that if you are lost or harmed, you may be found.
Doesn't seem to be working.
Perhaps the guild no longer has enough access to curse sites to supply the entire membership.
Ah, Cursite, you say? That is in rather limited supply. Although I have to imagine it's always been outside of the Dominion, of course.
Yes, but I imagine when there are only a few members of the group, it is easy to supply the needed amount of cursite to power the compass the way it's meant to be. But when you have many, many more, that is no longer true.
Maybe so, maybe so. So you called me in here, I assume not to talk about the compass.
No. So I was given a request to go search a cave north of here, I believe it was. Yeah. For any runes or markings in a cave, which there were none of. But there, I did find her and a bunch of corpses that came back to life that were being puppeted by these worms.
Hang on. Puts it down on the desk. Okay. So you went in the cave.
Yep.
She killed a bunch of people. And then they came back as worms.
No. There were corpses on the ground when I went in there. She was on the ground, unconscious.
Isn't.
And then the corpses woke up, and then she woke up, and then the corpses attacked us.
Okay. What were you doing in there unconscious?
I have simply been in there for a while after a long battle with several goblins.
Okay. Strange. And then there were just corpses out of nowhere? I'm very confused by this.
From my understanding, she was asleep for many, many years.
So the corpses were my doings. They were goblins, and then I made them into corpses.
Okay, so okay, fine. I'm not gonna get hung up on these details because I don't think that they're the big thing here. So
Not at all.
then there were corpses with worms, and then the worms were moving the corpses.
Yes, and
That's
they
troubling,
attacked
very troubling.
us and him,
The sleeping one.
the sleeping one.
Okay. And then
Then we headed back here to Southreach. We got in, and there was a panic because there were these fish people just attacking people.
fish people.
Fish
Fish
people.
monsters.
Monsters, apologies.
That's strange. Although
Yes.
it's far from the first time people have claimed monster attacks here. Did you see the monsters yourselves?
Yes, we tried killing them,
Hmm.
and we did.
Oh, good.
Then the same worms came out of them
Oh, that's
and
less
started
good.
using them as puppets, like the goblins in the cave.
Oh, well, that's significantly less good.
Yes,
What
we
happened?
had to kill them again. Toby, you have one of the worms.
Yes, Toby does. He hops up and he just from his seat, which might knock over Aksha. Sorry, Aksha.
Gets up and actually goes flying.
Whoa!
You couldn't fly. So Toby like shuffles over, goes into his pocket, but realizes it's not there anymore because he dropped it on the table before. But in his hustle to pack up everything to leave, he actually slipped it in with the fish. So he goes in, takes it out, and he pulls out both the fish and reaches in and just pulls out the worm and goes to just dangle it to hand it to the gnome.
And he holds out his mug.
Oh, okay. And just drops it in the mug.
And he
Gonna
like,
put the fish away though.
so he looks at it and he like holds it at arm's length. Like shakes the mug a bit. Okay. Okay. I'm going to trust that it's not going to eat my face.
Oh no, the worm is very much dead.
Oh, good. Well, but it was dead last time too, right?
No,
Host.
the
creature
worms
is dead.
were inside the dead host, but the worms themselves weren't dead.
Okay, so it's like some kind of parasite.
Something like that.
Okay. Well,
Aksha said that he knows something about it.
oh, please.
Yes,
Hello,
my
Aksha?
hi. Yes, Aksha hops over from where he flew and bounces over and says, "Yes, my mentor. He talked about this a few times. These creatures seem to be some kind of magical construct
Mhm.
that's old. Used what time was it? 1600s? 1600s. Yes.
600s.
600s. Yes. And they are controlled by someone. But they're not very successful things. They're not, what's the word? Hard to make. Hard to make. Yes.
How interesting. I wonder. All right. Well, while I don't personally know what this is, I can definitely take this and get it into the hands of the right people, and in a couple of days we should have an answer as to what it is, unless you're concerned about there being some kind of immediate, imminent threat,
Well,
and can offer proof of such, obviously.
well, there was the attack at Eastgate.
But it was just the one, and the group of you felt it very easily. Yes.
Yes, but the guards either were the guards there?
Not initially. They showed up after.
Yeah. I'm not sure if intentionally or not, but the guards weren't dealing with it.
Well, I'm sure that they'll be stationed there now.
And from what we've heard from people, this isn't the first incident in Southreach, although it's the first confirmed one.
I have heard that there have been some stories of people being attacked by monsters. But to be fair, there's a lot of stories everywhere, and it's hard to really confirm sometimes, especially when you factor in,
Also, the one of the silver hand guards is requesting to follow up with us about the incident tomorrow at noon.
Okay, that's good. You'll get to follow up on that, see what they're doing about that. I will be able to take this and have it looked at. I can't give you any information now because I've never heard of it before. But there are a number of people I think who we could speak to who might be able to help us more. They can compile a report, and then we can talk about this and maybe figure out what the best course of action is. Realistically, it's going to probably come down to either finding a group to hire on to figure this out and take care of it, or passing it off to the guards, depending on the size of the threat, if there is one.
So there haven't been any reports about the attacks or people being abducted, or
Well, there have been a couple of times over the last year or so of people potentially disappearing. But it's again hard to qualify to prove these things because it's or figure out what's really going on because it's people who aren't from here. They came and could very well have left. Not everyone who comes to Southreach finds success. And those who don't generally tend to move on to somewhere smaller. Less people means there's less chances for your potential market to get flooded or for you to be put out of business.
That's fair.
It's also a very convenient way to hide if you are taking people, for no one looks too hard for people that are not from this area.
It's very true. That is very true. But there's no way for us to be able to discern that that's what's happening, at least not yet. However, if we were presented with enough evidence to suggest that is what's happening, we could then take that to the Silver Gauntlet and perhaps work something out, either having them deal with it or hiring out to have someone deal with it for a probably a pretty decent paycheck. Hint, hint.
All right. Unless the guild has any information like locations of where people have been taken. I guess that's all that we have to ask. Anything else anyone else needs?
I was told there was a request for someone who understood Garuni.
Sleeping guy.
You may want to wake up your friend.
Yeah, I'll go over and rustle.
I believe he is dreaming of clouds.
So I'm gonna go over and rustle Kunnskap awake.
The head slowly like leans back in and looks up.
Your request points over to the gnome.
Hello, he says in Garuni.
Hello. Do you know who I am?
That's almost a trick question.
Yes. One that does have an answer.
So, trick question. What can I do for you?
I was wondering if any of my kind have come through here recently.
Recently? Not that I'm aware of, no. In fact, I'm surprised to see you here.
Why?
Well, big city doesn't seem particularly welcoming or comfortable for those of your caliber, and while there was a time in my youth where I would have expected to see more of you, considering the Azuria and the nearby libraries, just hasn't happened, and so my assumption became that you tend to avoid the larger places. Or maybe you just don't like Lysantis. I wouldn't blame you if that was the case.
I have no feeling one way or the other on this particular city. However, I would like to know when the last time someone of my kind came through here.
Oh, it's been years as far as I know.
And what was completed.
That one I don't. I'm not aware. As I'm sure you are well aware, you people are not particularly forthcoming.
We are forthcoming to those who speak to us in this language particularly. So who spoke to them?
Well, if it wasn't me, which it wasn't, then it would have had to be... Perhaps Dallin or Kieran. Either of them. One of the other relatively high-ranking local members of the Gilded Compass probably would have taken their meeting.
I wish to speak to the one that spoke to the last Kunnskap who came through here.
That's going to be difficult. One of them is away. Uh, very, very far and will not be back for quite a while. And the other, unfortunately, is deceased. Although, if you are patient, I am happy to send a message, but it will be, at best, months before Talon returns. He's been off in Shirfara.
The one who is dead. I wish to speak to them.
That will be difficult.
Why?
Well, in my experience, your people don't generally have the funds required to make that possible.
I did not know funds were needed to speak to the dead.
It is a carefully monitored and controlled ability spell here. One that is not known by most, and the ones who both know it and are licensed to use it are well aware of its scarcity. Generally make a living doing so.
I have a rather interesting assumption that the word license does not actually exist in this language.
Yeah, it probably would translate closer to like permission.
Well, if you are able to find out any information on these conversations or who met with this other Kunnskap, I would greatly appreciate it.
I can see what notes were written about the meeting. Avid note takers, us guildlings. Maybe not our favorite thing to do, but important enough.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, we should most likely return to a more common tongue. I have a feeling the rest of your friends and the emotions to the room will feel left out if we keep going for too long. And then in common, he goes, I would hate to be rude.
They are able to ask me any questions they wish.
Remember that their culture is vastly different from your own, and that in order to get by, you will best succeed by at least somewhat immersing yourself in theirs.
There's no response.
Now, is there anything else that I can do for the group of you today? Because I am terribly sorry that all of the things you have come to ask me for are not things I can have done or do for you in the immediate, but I will do my best to help however I can.
Any way that you can will be appreciated.
Is there anything else that you need?
Can you just make note that we came to see you and that we're going to be discussing this with the guard in case all
yes.
5 of us disappear?
Absolutely, all of it will be written up.
Perfect. Other than that, does anyone have anything else to ask?
No.
Good. Then I suggest that you all find somewhere to get some sleep, because it sounds to me like you are going to have quite the day tomorrow.
Yes. I assume there's lodging for members.
Yeah, in a place as large as Southreach, it would be astounding for there not to be.
Would we be able to get room and board for them by any chance?
I can guarantee you room for yourself and one other. Beyond that, I will need a minute to check and see if we have enough lodgings available.
Perhaps we should try the Quiet Nights Tavern, as was suggested.
If you're gonna go there, all I'm gonna say, protect your pies.
We can wait a minute to see if you can find anything.
Do people commonly carry pies?
Well, no, but Klaus is known to.
Klaus.
It's sort of an inside joke. Yes, Klaus is the resident pie thief,
Oh.
That is good to know.
and the Silent Night is his haunt, so to speak, his nest, if you would.
Pie theft does
Is
not
it
seem...
any kind of pie?
I've never known Klaus to turn down any pie.
Any pie.
Mm.
Hmm. Interesting.
While this conversation is happening, Kunnskap has a couple of pieces of wood and is carving something into them. And upon the completion of said carvings, Kunnskap will go to what was the name of this person?
Klaus?
Eniel.
Eniel with both hands extended, closed fists. Wisdom or knowledge?
Knowledge.
And a rune is handed to them. You know as well as I that any information you garner to me will be garnered to you upon receiving of this rune. You may give it back to me, and you may ask me any question you deem worthy of the information.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm sure it will come in handy.
It will also work with any other Kunnskap soakers who happen by.
So would you like me to go check?
Yes, you would.
I will be back. He hops down off his and walks out. After a couple of minutes, he returns. So, I looked into it, and it looks like we should have enough lodging for the group of you for tonight. After that, though, you're going to be on your own. Except, of course,
All right.
you, sir, he says, pointing to Brori. We have a
Alright.
few people we're expecting back by tomorrow, and, you know, guild members
fair.
will always have priority.
Of course. I appreciate that.
Most generous.
If you'd like, there should be wash basins available in your rooms so that you may clean up. I don't know if any of you are hungry, but we can also provide you with some food. And then all we ask is that come 10 o'clock tomorrow, you are on your way because we only have so much room.
That's fair.
Is there perhaps a general store where I may purchase some polish?
If you're looking for polish, yeah, there's a couple of places you could go. Closest one is let's see, what would be the closest one? He says, taking a minute to think about it. You probably would want to go to the town prior. It's supposed to be a joke. I don't know why it's named that. It's probably the best bet for you to find something. Nicholas, he runs the shop. He's a good guy. A little weird, but a good guy. He works for what's his name? The Baron.
The Baron?
Oh yeah, Baron Hadley. He's good guy. It's real unfortunate. Actually, His son was one of the first people to go missing.
That is a shame.
Depends on who you ask.
Oh?
Well, you didn't hear it from me, but while the Baron is a good person, his son did not share the same. You want to talk about monsters? That guy was a monster.
Do you own the property in front of this building?
Hmm?
Do you own the property in front of this building?
We do, yes.
I will be setting up there.
How much space are you going to need, and do we need to worry about the lawn?
The size of a tent, and as far as I know, not that I'm aware of,
All right. Yeah, okay. As long as you're careful, you don't damage our lawn, as long as you don't cause any problems with anyone else, I suppose we can make it work. Yeah.
will anyone be joining me?
Sure, will accompany you. Strange one. I must learn more. You are interesting.
Come then. And Kunnskap will leave the building and immediately begin putting a tent up in the lawn of this guild.
Sure, yeah. When you get outside, the two of you will notice the sun has started to set. It is definitely getting to be about that time.
Outside of the tent, something that no one has seen before, and this is how Kunnskap makes their way through the world, there is a rune that is known to most that is put on a flag outside of the tent that basically means that there is some sort of seer or fortune teller within.
Mm. Very neat.
Yes, I'll have him lead us to the lodging.
Yeah, so he sends someone, one of the lower ranking guild members, to lead you out of the main building and off to the side in one of the smaller sort of like houses that are to the west. They lead you up a flight of stairs and essentially give you the run of the upstairs. There are 5 rooms. The last one is not filled, and was initially supposed to be for Kunnskap, which leaves you with 2 open rooms as Aksha is joining them. So, but they give you the run of that floor.
Okay.
The rooms are fairly humble. They're kind of a far cry from what you might have expected, having seen the inside of the guild hall and getting at least a taste of how much business they seem to be in charge of in the city. They're very simple rooms, ones you would expect from a sort of low end inn, but they have a moderately comfortable bed and a place for you to put your stuff and a place to wash up and some water and food.
So there were 2 rooms?
3, because there were 5 in all, and 2
okay.
of them aren't being used.
Okay.
So there are technically 5 rooms.
So we can each get a room then?
Yeah.
I'll see you both in the morning.
May I speak with you for a moment?
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, as you do this, Toby's going to head into the 3rd room, and he's going to be spending his time cleaning up his vest and hat, which has all this guts of this monster crap all over it. So
Solid plan.
yeah, fun times.
One needs clean.
Uh,
Yeah.
I simply wanted to request that you are careful in who you speak to about me and the cave.
You and what?
The cave.
Oh, sure. Apologies. Won't leave the guild then.
Much appreciated, because that could go very poorly for me very quickly.
I already know enough not to mention anything to the Cursian Dominion about any part of this trip.
Lysantis is no less dangerous.
Fair enough. Can I ask how you knew about the compass, or how you learned that it should have a beacon?
That's very simple. My creator was the one who designed it. I was there when she made it.
Well, was she part of the guild?
Yes
Or was-
and no. She did not like to be tied down to people or things. However, she did have a strong working relationship with them. In fact, she helped them establish ties to the Cursian Dominion. The only reason you have access to Kursite at all is because of her.
I see. All right. All right, then. Tight look from here on out. Apologies again.
Much appreciated. You don't need to apologize. I simply do not wish to be put away where I will not be useful.
That's fair. All right. I'll see you in the morning then.
Rest well.
You too.
And
He
then
heads to his
scrubs
room.
the scoop off.
Yeah. He gets.
Yeah, she's gonna head to her room and start just scrubbing.
As they are building the tent, the Kunnskapper will turn to Aksha and say, "Are you on a mission of knowledge or revenge?"
Knowledge. I wish to understand why. Why this happened. Who did, why, and what for. If it brings whoever did to justice, all the better. But Aksha wants to know, do you speak Dracon?
It is a language I am learning, but I do not know it well enough yet.
Common is hard for my tongue. But yes, learning more, understanding more. My teacher was always about telling me to learn more about the world, because I am destined for greatness. That's what he say. I believe. I am dragon. I will be dragon. I must ascend. This is my destiny. Master told me so. I believe it.
Kunnskap is tying down the tent, putting up the flag, lighting incense, doing all these things as they listen to the small dragon tell their tale. And after a few moments of silence, Kunnskap will turn to them and say, "So, if you find out this information, but that information is not enough to act upon it at all, will you act yourself?"
Aksha do not know. Perhaps. Emotions are cumbersome, but maybe Aksha might be overcome with emotion. in that moment if I find the person who did this. But I'd like to think I act more smartly, yes. So do not know.
Kunnskap will head inside and wave Aksha in with them. And the sleeping bags are pushed towards the back to not take up too much room. But Kunnskap will take out a small tray. And with the incense building up within the tent, cast runes in front of them both to perceive the knowledge of the tale just told.
Roll me a percentage. You feel, for the slightest of moments, a bit of a warm breeze blow through the tent. Now, it's not incredibly strange. It is a fairly warm spring night. But the timing is interesting.
Kunnskap will slide their fingers along the runes and raise their head towards the feeling of the breeze. I believe you are on the correct path, though I cannot see the end of it.
This is good. Thank you. Aksha's been very confused. No one's been helpful, so this is good. This is good. Yes.
The gods will always set the path before you. You must just follow.
Indeed.
Let us see if we can make some coin. And the flag, as one of my last spells for the day, I'm going to cast Fog Cloud, and it kind of just spills out over the lawn around the tent as a way to catch the attention as the flag that has the rune on it flaps in the warm breeze of the day.
Is there anyone else? Is there anything anyone else wants to do tonight?
Just want to go out and get some polish.
It's a little late. You probably will have to wait for tomorrow.
Curses.
Obi is done cleaning his stuff, and he is ecstatic that this is the first time he's going to sleep indoors in a bed for the first time in probably close to a year. He has been outdoors walking around quite a bit. So he's going to put on his blessed nightcap and hit the hay.
You're cleaning up, Brori's just going to pass out on the bed. Just flop straight down on it.
Oh. So tell me, how much does Kunnskap charge for a walk-in?
A silver.
Before It's time for you to turn in for the night. You have 3 people stop by your tent, asking for their futures to be told. You make 3 silver.
Do I also start with my normal starting gold because it's not in my inventory?
You had your starting gear and then the gold that I gave you to start with, minus whatever you spent it on.
I don't think I spent it on anything.
Okay, then yeah, use the gold that I gave you.
Which was how much? I forget.
That was. I will check. I will check afterwards.
Oh,
It's
250.
what? Yeah, 250.
It was 250. Okay. Okay. And with that, everyone is going to turn in for bed, which I think is a good place for us to end this episode of Dice Trays Action. We had some interesting occurrences and interactions, with the promise of much more on the horizon. Hopefully you'll join us again next week, and we'll see what happens to our intrepid crew. Until then.